Vladimir Putin. Zelensky request just a short time ago. The United States.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
The elderly attempt to
So we're going to go ahead and get started in just a minute or two. We want to make sure everybody gets in, and then we'll formally start. Well, welcome everyone to Makom B'Yachad on this International Women's Day 2022. My name is Debbie Lempert from Adath Israel Congregation in Cincinnati, Ohio. And
Sorry, we didn't start streaming it yet on Facebook, just so you know.
You want to start over?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm live streaming.
Sorry.
That's okay. Hello again. Welcome to Makom B'Yachad on this International Women's Day 2022. My name is Debbie Lempert, and I am Tefillah co-chair of Women's League. I'm from Adath Israel Congregation in Cincinnati, Ohio, here with my co-chair and partner.
Hi, my name is Toby Holtzman. I'm from Congregation Har Shalom in Potomac, Maryland.
Welcome to Makom B'Yachad, which means a place to be together. We started Makom B'Yachad in March of 2020 when COVID-19 shut down our world. Our Jewish women needed a place to say Kaddish when our synagogues were closed and many had not yet transitioned to an online format.
Our women began meeting 6 days a week, Sunday through Friday, where we studied Psalms, prayed for healing, and remembered family and friends by saying Kaddish. While we began with Rabbi Ellen Wollensfield's teaching daily, we transitioned to 5 days a week with our own members teaching on Fridays. Once we completed the book of Psalms, we celebrated with the Siyum and then began Pirkei Avot.
When the world started to reopen, we moved to Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We are now studying Mishnah on Tuesdays with Rabbi Ellen, and we have welcomed Rabbi Margie Sella, WLCJ's educational programming coordinator, who teaches us Proverbs on Wednesdays. Our members take turns teaching the Parsha of the week on Fridays.
We have celebrated major Jewish holidays together with special programming for Tu B'Shvat, Purim, Passover, Shavuot, the high holidays, Hanukkah, and more. We recite Yizkor and celebrate Rosh Chodesh with Hallel. We also mark memorable secular remembrances and holidays such as 9/11 and Thanksgiving.
We never imagined many things in March of 2020.
We never imagined that this pandemic would last 2 years and beyond.
We never imagined we would still be meeting on Zoom 2 years later.
Many of us never imagined that we would meet so many wonderful women who would become our sisters and close friends.
We can't imagine life without Makom B'Yachad, connecting with our sisters weekly.
While COVID-19 hit our world in many terrible ways, one bright spot was our having a place to be together, Makom B'Yachad. We turn it over to the next person.
Good afternoon. I am Eileen Rubin, Women's League for Conservative Judaism, Chair, World Community Engagement. We thank you for joining us today and sharing our vision, joining us from all over the world. I am from Congregation Bethel in Voorhees, New Jersey. As you are listening, we want you to think about something. What does International Women's Day mean to you? Or what does a women's group mean to you? We have asked, excuse me, several women from around the world to answer these questions and provide us with their insights. Pay close attention. The languages may be different, but the feelings, well, you will see for yourself. And for the ones that are in other languages, keep your eye on the chat because they will be translated. I'm happy to start to tell you how this endeavor has evolved and why now. Women's League's purpose is to engage, enrich, and empower Jewish women. We have been in existence for over 100 years. We have affiliates all over North America and Israel. Masorti Olami reaches out over all the world with this mission: study of Torah, the unity of the Jewish people, the centrality of the synagogue, Jewish practice based on halakha and mitzvot, centrality of Israel and knowledge of the Hebrew language, the values of egalitarianism, pluralism, tolerance, and democracy in the development of Jewish tradition. With the growth of the Masorti movement, we now see a real purpose in becoming an international network of Jewish women and adding Women's League and our power to the mix. How do we connect to create a worldwide network? We want to reach, as we say in the Shema, and as we gather the four corners of our talit every day, V'havienu l'shalom me'arba kanfot ha'aretz, v'tolechenu komamiyut le'artzenu. It's much easier to sing. Bring us to peace from the four corners of the earth and lead us upright to our land. So how do we connect? Enter Tehila Rubin, master mover and shaker, who, by the way, is not a relative of mine. We started meeting, although she is mishpacha now, I will say. We started meeting with Tehila, who guided us first to the women of the Abayudaya conservative community. You'll hear them in a moment. Such a thrilling experience to meet with them. This was our first stop on the way to becoming an international network. Today was to be and is our inaugural event. What could be more perfect than International Women's Day? Unfortunately, you know the expression. We make plans and Masorti and Tehila are overwhelmed with helping Ukraine communities to be safe. So we thought about postponing our event. But you know, when you form the connection, you are there to celebrate with them. But we also have the obligation to stand by them through difficulties as well. Kol Yisrael arevim zeh bazeh. We are responsible for each other. So today, we stand in unity with our worldwide network of sisters, with the hope that in the not so distant future, we will join them in celebration and happiness. Our next insight will be in French, and we call on Sophie Bigot-Goldblum, a member of Adat Shalom Masorti Conservative Community in Paris.
Bonjour à tous et à toutes. En cette journée internationale du droit des femmes, je voulais partager avec vous un de mes slogans féministes favoris. Ce qu'on veut, c'est l'égalité, pas des fleurs.
I'm sorry, was that the whole?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, all right, so you see in the chat, the translation. I mentioned the women's community from Abayudaya, and we have them also on video singing to us. So enjoy this. It is a bright spot of our afternoon, morning, evening.
There's no sound.
Let me try again. Hold on, sorry.
Aboluganda okutula ine matovu umalai shebetai damu ya haki ine matovu umalai shebetai damu ya haki hiki kitu kizuri sana kinapendeza wadada wote baba moja ine matovu umalai shebetai damu ya haki 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 ine matovu umalai shebetai damu ya haki.
Thank you. It's possible, I can't see all of the faces, but it's possible some of them are signed up to be part of us today. So it's possible that they are with us. It's not always easy for them to make those connections, but we thank them for sending this to Tehillah so that they could be part of the International Women's Day. The next part of what we move on to is more of what is our traditional Makom B'Yachad that Toby and Debbie spoke of so beautifully at the beginning. We start every session with a Mishaberach, and today it's going to be sung by Marilyn Cohen from Canada. Is she up there, Marilyn? In the middle of it, okay, good, there she is. She will stop and give you time to say the names of any of your family or friends who are in need of healing.
I want to thank you for this opportunity to honor and acknowledge the most influential woman in my life on her 100th birthday, my mother, Sarah Kachek, Chaya Sarah Bat Leah Lepinchas. Misheberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha li'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
I'm sorry, I was muted. As we do thank you, Marilyn, that was beautiful. I don't know if anyone heard me say that or not, but that was beautiful. As a member of Zumriah, we, every day at Makam B'Yachad, we do recite the Psalm of the day, and today will be no exception. We're calling on our very own Rabbi Margie Stella and Rabbi Lisa Gelber, who will be saying the Psalm in Hebrew and in English. Have to unmute. I like that.
Mizmor Asaf, Elohim nitzav ba'adat el, bekerev Elohim yishpot.
Psalm of Asaph, God rises in the court of the mighty, pronouncing judgment over the judges.
Ad matai tishpetu avel, ufunei reshaim tis'u selah.
How long will you pervert justice? How long will you favor the wicked? Selah.
Shiftu dal v'yatom oni, v'rash hatzdiku.
Champion the weak and the orphan, uphold the downtrodden and destitute.
Paltul dal v'evyon miyad, reshaim hatzilu.
Rescue the weak and the needy, save them from the grip of the wicked.
Lo yadu v'lo yavinu, b'chashecha yithalchu yimutu, kol mosdei aretz.
But they neither know nor understand. They wander about in darkness while the earth's foundations are shaken.
Ani amarti Elohim atem, uvnei elyon kalchem.
I thought you were godlike, children of the Most High.
Achen ka'adam tmutun uchachad hasrei tipolu.
But you will die like mortals, like any prince, you will fall.
Kuma Elohim shafta ha'artz, ki ata tinchal bechol hagoyim.
Rise up, Holy One, and judge the earth, for your dominion is over all nations.
Thank you. Again, as we always do, we will be reciting Kaddish, and I will call on Toby to read the list of names, and Debbie will lead us in Kaddish. Unmute. Yeah. You're muted. I'm sorry.
I see that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Today, with love in our hearts, we recall Audrey Maddens, Sharon Lynn Sussman, Rabbi Abraham Morheim, Richard Goldberg, Audrey Sytak, Abby Silverston, Fred Cohen, B. Reynolds, Carol Gelber, Matt Yosefat, Andrew Dobin. May their memories always be a source of blessing to us.
You are going to recite Kaddish, and if you're able, please rise. Yidkadal v'yidkadash shemei rabbah. Be'alma divra kirute v'yamlich malchute. Bechayechon uvyamechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi shemei Rabba levorach le'olam u'mei Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'rechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru.
Amen.
Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Say shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Just make sure I'm not muted. We're going to continue with some more insights into our question of what a women's group, an international women's group, would mean. The first one now is in Spanish. and we will hear from Ariella Rosenberg-Garbatsky, head of Latin American region of Masorti Olami.
Hola, mi nombre es Ariela Rosenberg-Garbatsky y las saludo desde Jerusalén. Originalmente soy de Argentina. Hace 26 años decidí hacer aliyá y venir a vivir a esta hermosa ciudad donde formé mi familia. Pertenezco desde siempre al movimiento Masorti y tengo la suerte de poder trabajar dentro del mismo como responsable del área latinoamericana desde Masorti Olami. Desde mi rol promuevo cada día la igualdad de posibilidades en términos de género en cuanto al cumplimiento y la observancia de la halajá, la ley judía, incentivando a todas las mujeres para que practiquen su judaísmo con las mismas prácticas que los hombres, para que ocupen espacios dirigenciales y laborales dentro del ámbito comunitario judío. Feliz día para todas.
Well, I could understand the last sentence. Happy day to all of us. That was lovely. Thank you so much. We appreciate that from Ariella. And our next one is in Hebrew by Hani Goldengreen, Director of Noam Olami. Remember to check the chat.
היי, שלום לכולם, שמי חני גולדנגרין, אני המנהלת של נועם עולמי. יום האישה הבינלאומי בשבילי הוא הזדמנות חינוכית באמת להראות לנוער שלנו, לצעירות ולצעירים, סיפורים של נשים, גם נשים מעוררות השראה ויוצאות דופן, גיבורות בחיים שלהן, וגם נשים שחיות את החיים שלהן ועושות פשוט מעשים פשוטים וחיות בעולם הפטריארכלי שלנו. באמת יום האישה זה הזדמנות קצת לחגוג סיפורים של נשים, גם של שורדות מסיפורים לא פשוטים כמו שאנחנו יודעות ויודעים שקיימים. ובאמת הזדמנות לאפשר לכל הנוער לראות שגם הם יכולים ויכולות לגדול להיות נשים מעוררות השראה, וגם לנערים שלנו לתמוך בכל הנשים שבחייהם. תודה.
And Toda to you as well, Hani. At this point, I'm going to turn over the program to Tehila Rubin, who will introduce the shiur and the next few things. And before I do, I want to thank her very much, and I hope you all do as well, under very difficult circumstances to put this together the way that she did. So thank you so much, Tehila. We really, we appreciate everything that you did for us.
Thank you, Eileen. And thank you to the entire team at Women's League for inviting us to this platform that you've created. It's been an honor to work with the team at Women's League over the past, I think, 2 years now. And we hope that we will slowly go around the globe and meet the different groups of women in the different countries. And I also want to thank everyone who's joining this event from around the world. I think it was amazing to see the reaction. And as Eileen said, you know, we're unfortunately in crisis mode, but we felt that it was important to still do this, especially because later on in the program, we will be hearing a little bit about what is going on in Ukraine and our work in Ukraine and say a prayer for Ukraine. So we had intended on other things for this program, but just based on the craziness that's going on, we had to limit it. But again, you know, this is hopefully just the first of many. So I won't waste any other time. I will like to call on our next speaker, who will lead us in a short shiur limud. That is Rabbi Natasha Mann, who is a congregational rabbi, educator, halachist, and grammar enthusiast. After achieving her first class honors degree in theology from Heythrop College, University of London, and studying at the Conservative Yeshiva in Jerusalem, Rabbi Natasha moved to Los Angeles to study at the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies. During her time in California, she worked as several West Coast synagogues and worked as the mashgicha, kashrut supervisor, at the American Jewish University. She also committed herself to evening classes in order to achieve a certificate in Jewish education. alongside work in Jewish education and development. Rabbi Natasha has worked in the realm of human rights, advocating for the well-being and protection of victims of sex trafficking. Rabbi Natasha was ordained at Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies in 2019, and now serves as one of the rabbis at New London Synagogue in London, UK, as the rabbi of Mosaic Masorti. So I'd like to call upon Rabbi Natasha Mann to lead us in a short shiur entitled Julian and Esther, Fortitude, Solitude, and Solidarity. Rabbi Mann.
Thank you, Tehila, and thank you all for having me. It's a real pleasure and an honor listening to you say that title. I really tried to get another word that ended in tude. It didn't quite come together that way. I wanted, because it is International Women's Day and because we are international women coming together, I wanted to share a couple of stories with you. And they're stories that have really inspired me in terms of women's history. One of these stories you probably know quite well. If you don't, you're about to hear it again. That's a pretty big clue. And one of these stories, I think it's likely that you don't know already. I'm going to share my screen so that I can take you into a bit of text. But the first thing I want to do is talk about this woman. Her name was Julian of Norwich. And as we said, Julian and Esther are the two people that I want to take a few minutes to look into. Julian of Norwich is one of my favorite historical characters. She's the first writer whose writing we have, first woman to write in the English language, whose writing that we have and that we can allocate to a woman. She was a Christian mystic. She's most famous for a phrase that you might have actually heard before if you happen to like theology like I do. You can see a little bit of it behind her here. All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. She wrote mystical works about Christianity that were hugely feminine in nature. And you can look into that a little bit more if you want to. She wrote something called Revelations of Divine Love, about a mystical experience that she had. And she wrote this while living in a church. Apparently this was a thing you could do in the Middle Ages. I've got to say, no one has ever said to me that if I want to, I can go and live under the synagogue and like not interact with people. But that's how Julian seems to have lived her life. The rest of her life, after these series of mystical experiences she went through, she spent writing and came out with this incredible text that we now call Revelations of Divine Love. But I'm actually partly interested in what happened to Julian's work after she died. Although I'm also going to show you this because she's usually pictured with her cat. And I relate to this very significantly. If I was going to live by myself under the synagogue for the next few decades, I would definitely want to take my cat with me. This is what happened to Julian's work. Julian died, and the Catholic Church got a hold of her work and declared it heresy. And they declared it heresy for what seems like pretty obvious reasons, if you ever take a read through it, in terms of her deep dive into the feminine in theology. And when they did this to her, her texts were burnt, as was the tradition. But we still have her texts. And the reason that we still own Revelations of Divine Love, the reason that you can go into a bookshop and order Revelations of Divine Love, is actually because of other women. We know that it was kept alive in secret by young nuns, because quotes from her work turn up in different prayers. It was kept alive in secret by these young women. At one point, there seems to have only been a particular copy of it that ended up going to France with nuns who were fleeing. And it was found again after being apparently lost to history, when a particular man donated his library to the British Library. And it was found there filed under witchcraft. In terms of how women's history works, I know that we are all aware that there is a lot in women's history that's been lost to us. There are also some things that have survived. And while Julian spent her life alone, she spent her life alone in relationship with God, writing out this incredible piece of text. We also only have the survival of this piece of medieval feminine theology because other women decided that it was worth keeping, regardless of what it was that the establishment was saying to them. We have someone who spent her life in solitude, a very strong woman, and we have women who worked together to keep this piece of theology alive. The reason I wanted to bring Julian to you today is not only that I find her a very fascinating and inspiring female character, it's also because as we're coming together for International Women's Day, and as we are very close to going into Purim, I know any other congregational rabbis who are here on the call are also thinking a lot about Purim right now, that I think that hers is a story that speaks to a particular experience of women who need to both be on their own, who have needed to historically be self-reliant, and have also needed other women and have needed to make communities with other women and make communities with other people. And I think that there's something about this in the book of Esther. We're not going to do the entirety of Esther chapter 4. If you're worried about spoilers, now is the time not to listen. But Esther is a character who we know of as being in solitude, that she ends up, this young Jewish girl, in the court of the king, having to hide her identity from the king. Something I only recently realized, something that I only came across sort of in recent years when going across this book again and again through the years, is that Esther's solitude is actually not something that she maintains. And it's not just that she has Mordecai outside the gates that she connects with in some ways. It's also that her maidens and her eunuchs, as it were, seem to be aware of who she is, because they are taking letters back and forth to Mordecai outside the gate. You know, we have here when Esther's maidens and eunuchs came and informed her. So they informed her of what her relative Mordecai was doing out there, meaning that they knew who this was. The queen was agitated, sent clothing to Mordecai. We're going to go forward a little bit to when Esther says to Mordecai that she can't go before the king. It's a moment, I think, of intense aloneness for Esther. She's the only person who can do this thing. She's the only person who has a chance of going to the king and of making a difference here, and no one can go with her. It doesn't matter now that her maidens know who she is. It doesn't matter that Mordecai is outside of the gate. This is something that Esther has to do alone, and it's something that she very much does not want to do alone. Mordecai's response to Esther is that her aloneness might seem like something that's going to save her. Do not imagine that you, of all the Jews, will escape with your life by being in the king's palace. A little later, who knows, perhaps you've attained to royal position for such a crisis. Her aloneness is both her strength and her weakness, I think. Her weakness in that it means that no one can go in with her. No one can give her what she needs in terms of her strength to go in. But it's also potentially her strength, because we might be able to imagine a future in which Haman does what it is that he wants to do to the Jews, and Esther is the only one who survives. And Mordecai says, don't think of your aloneness as being a strength that you can survive this. So what does Esther do? I think this is absolutely fascinating. She says, go assemble all the Jews who live in Shushan, fast on my behalf, do not eat or drink for 3 days. I and my maidens, there they are again, they're actually very important characters in this, will observe the same fast, and then I alone shall go to the king, though it is contrary to the law, and if I am to perish, I shall perish. Esther is a character who knows that she has to be in some senses alone, but she's also a character who knows what it means to have community and knows what it means to build community against all the odds. She has no way to be in her original community physically anymore. And the way that she has managed to do it is by knowing that they're going to fast with her, by finding a way to have to not have solitude, to have solidarity instead against all of the odds. She's also a character, I think, who figures out how to make the people around her new community. I can imagine another version of this story in which Esther never tells anyone who she is, but it's clear actually threaded throughout the book of Esther that Esther finds a community while she is in the palace. She finds a way to reach out largely to other women in order to find the strength that's going to allow her to walk into that throne room on her own. I think that this is a hugely important lesson from women's history, that there are moments in which it seems like we're alone, and we never have to be. There is always a way to make community wherever we are. I'm sitting here in the UK, in London, in my living room, in community with all of you around the world, which is a beautiful thing. So happy International Women's Day, everyone, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Rabbi Natasha. That was wow, that was amazing, and we really it's an honor. I know it was, quite last minute, but it's an honor to have you here, and we hope to be able to work with you on many more projects. So I'm actually going to slightly change the order because we have the honor of having Rabbi Irina Grutevskia from Shechter to talk about the situation in Ukraine. And I don't want to take up her time, too much of her time. So I'm going to start with introducing Rabbi Irina Grutevskia, and she is the executive director of Midrash Shechter. She holds a LLB from Hebrew University in Jerusalem, as well as an LLM, and was ordained by the Shechter Rabbinical Seminary. A native of St. Petersburg, Rabbi Irina made Aliyah as a teenager and currently lives in Tel Aviv with her family. Rabbi Irina also leads the partnership together with myself of Shechter Institutes and Masorti Olami since I think it's now 3 or 4 years. And it is an honor, an absolute honor to work with her. Although it would be an even greater honor if we didn't have to work together on getting our communities in Ukraine to safety. I will say that we're both learning a lot from this current situation in Ukraine and from working together. And I think one of the most amazing things that we've noticed and felt is the reaction from the worldwide movement and from our communities around the world, which has just been overwhelming and comforting and incredible. So thank you all. So Rabbi Irina will talk to us for a few minutes and update us on the situation with our communities in the Ukraine, and then lead us in a prayer for Ukraine. So please, Rabbi Irina.
Thank you, Tehila, and I'm very happy to be here with you. Actually, I have to tell you that this war is all about women who are heroes. Because what happens now that men from 18 to 60 are not allowed to leave the country. So it's all about women's choices. What do you do? Every day I talk to women in Ukraine, and they have to decide whether they take their child and run away, or they stay with their men in Ukraine. Do they stay with their elderly people whom they have to take care of, or they live with their children? Those impossible choices to make. And really, women are heroes who stay now in our community in Kharkov, in our school, and help the elderly people there. Women are heroes who stay in Chernovitz now, which is the western city in the western Ukraine, where we build in partnership with Masorti Olami, the incredible shelter for all the people from all around the country to come. Women are heroes in Kiev, in our main communities, where people now have to stay in their shelters, and also the same in Odessa. But in the last week, there were incredible operations together with my partner, Tehila, to get people out of Ukraine, and we really managed to get big groups and small groups of people out of the country to get them to other communities in Europe. And one of the things that really was incredible to see how people reacted and how everyone was willing to help, and the communities that accepted people they don't even know to help them. And this kind of feeling that we are really arevim זה לזה, we are really responsible for each other in this crisis situation is incredible. So I want to say a prayer for peace in Ukraine. And my prayer is actually for all the women that now in Ukraine or on their way out of the country alone with their kids and their parents, to wish them to have a peaceful time and that this war will be over. תפילה לשלום העם באוקראינה. אלוהינו שבשמיים, יוצר כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. אל דמי לך, אל תחרש ואל תשקוט אל. כי הנה קם בן בליאל ויאמר על ארץ אחרת, קומו ונקומה עליה למלחמה. ואתה, שציוויתנו בדברי קודשך לאמור, לא תעמוד על דם רעך, אני אדוני, אמור למשחית, הרף. אנא, אלוהי הרוחות לכל בשר, עשה בכוחך הגדול, לעצור את שפיכות הדמים ומעשה הזוועה, ונתת שלום בארץ, ושמחת עולם לכל יושביה, ויקוים בם מקרה שכתוב, ונכרתה קשת מלחמה, ודיבר שלום לגויים. ושפט בין הגויים, והוכיח לעמים רבים, וכיתתו חרבותם לעתים, וחניתותיהם למזמרות. לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, ולא ילמדו עוד מלחמה, ונאמר, אמן.
Thank you. Thank you, Irina. Thank you for joining us. And I know you're out on your way, so we really appreciate it. And may we be able to do lots more work together, but for good occasions and for happy occasions.
Absolutely. Thank you for the incredible partnership and all the work that you do nowadays.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we will now continue with our last international answer to what Women's Day means to you. This will be from Sandra Blankstein-Cohen, who is the president in Masorti Europe, and it will be in Dutch. So I'm going to put it in the chat and I will share the video.
Het is vandaag 8 maart, Internationale Vrouwendag. Een dag waarbij vrouwen in het zonnetje gezet worden omdat ze verschillende rollen vervullen binnen dit leven. Het kan maatschappelijk zijn, het kan binnen het gezin zijn, het kan van alles zijn. Binnen Masorti hebben vrouwen gelijkwaardige rollen aan mannen, zowel in de diensten als daarbuiten. Ik ben de afgelopen 5 jaar voorzitter geweest van Masorti Europa. Een enorm belangrijke en leuke taak. Het is wel duidelijk dat bij Masorti vrouwen gelijkwaardig zijn aan mannen. Hopelijk zal het binnenkort niet meer nodig zijn om Internationale Vrouwendag te vieren, zodat iedereen over de hele wereld vrouwen als gelijkwaardig ten opzichte van mannen zullen beschouwen.
Thank you, Sandra. Okay, we will now go to, I think, the more upbeat part of the program. We will hear a song from Chazanit Natalia Arazi in Argentina. Chazanit Natalia is the first Argentinian woman cantor who graduated from the Latin American Rabbinical Seminary in 1999. Natalia's vast experience allowed her to serve in several communities in Buenos Aires and is the current Chazanit at BAMI, Mark Chagall Community School. For high holidays, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, she was called from Shalom Community in Brazil, Beth Israel in Plantation, Miami, Beth Torah, also in Aventura, Miami, and East Brunswick Community in New Jersey. She participated in several recitals and concerts in Argentina, Brazil, Chile, and the US. Natalia directed for 5 years the Institute of Jewish Music and formation of Chazanim Bet Asaf from the Seminario Rabbinico Latin America, Acano Marshall T. Meyer. And it is an honor, we've been working with Natalia for quite some time, and it is an honor to have her here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hola, shalom, lekulam. My name is Natalia Arazi. Mi nombre es Natalia Arazi. Como me presentaron, soy la Hazanit de la comunidad Bami Marshall. Vamos a finalizar con esta hermosa canción dedicada a nosotras, las mujeres, una canción que habla sobre la mujer virtuosa. Es un cántico que tradicionalmente se canta en Shabbat, atribuido al rey Shlomo, que nuestros esposos, nuestros maridos nos suelen dedicar a nosotras las mujeres, que fue una forma de reivindicar a la mujer en la antigüedad y que ahora, por suerte, cambió el lugar y hay mucho más para avanzar y mejorar en la igualdad. Eshet Hail. Happy International Women's Day. Feliz Día de la Mujer. Yom Isha Sameach.
Natalia, I don't think we have sound. Natalia? No sound? Unless it's just me? The joys of a concert. Now we hear you.
No sound?
Now
No
we hear
sound?
you. No
Okay.
sound for the music.
Okay, okay. Just a moment.
I think we all know this is the joy of Zoom events, the muting.
Now?
We can hear you,
but not
yes?
the music. The funny thing is, we can't help with the directions because they're all in Spanish.
Moment.
No
Do you have
problem.
a separate share sound direction?
Now?
Yes.
Now.
Well, for
Yes.
a second. For a second. No sound?
No. No
Well, yes.
sound?
I mean, we hear you talking, but no singing. No. No sound. Natalia, there's no sound. No sound. No. We hear you talking, but not singing.
Okay, I will sing without music.
Natalia, are you sharing the audio on the computer?
I have audio.
So if you go to at the bottom, if you go to share screen.
Yes.
And then you go to advanced and then you click on computer audio. Is that what you're doing?
No.
And then you check at the bottom, you check off.
Now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait. No. Put it back on. It's sharing your screen. It's not sharing the sound. So you need to just go to advanced and then click there's computer audio. Yeah.
Advanced.
And you see a picture of like a speaker. Computer audio.
Yes.
Yeah, you see that? And then click share.
I have audio.
Okay, because you were sharing your screen. We saw your screen, your computer screen, not the. But it's okay if that's all we can do. Yeah, now we see your screen. Your screen.
Now?
It looked like you were showing an audio screen, and when you clicked that, we could hear music. But when you left that screen, we lost it.
One moment. My audio is okay.
And so Natalia, you, in the bottom, when you go to share screen and you go to advanced, if you just click on computer
Yes.
audio and then click share, like not video, just computer audio. And then click share.
Okay. Yes. Listen.
No. So maybe just do it without the music.
What moment?
We had it before.
Here. Now.
Wait.
Yeah.
Now we do.
Yeah.
Don't touch anything.
אשת חיל ממצא ברחוק מפניני מכרה בתחווה לבעלה בשלל לא יחסר אשת חיל ממצא ברחוק מפניני מכרה בתחווה לבעלה בשלל לא יחסר שקר אחר בהבל היופי אוי בהבל היופי אישה יראת השם היא תתעלל שקר אחר בהבל היופי בהבל היופי אישה יראת השם היא תתעלל אשת חיל ממצא ברחוק מפניני מכרה בתחווה לבעלה בשלל לא יחסר שקר אחר בהבל היופי בהבל היופי אישה יראת השם היא תתעלל
I think we have a frozen chazanit. Natalia, I don't think is there, so I will stop the sharing.
Well, it was worth waiting for, I will tell you that.
Yes, I was going to say that I don't know about everyone else, but that was quite a performance. And Natalia, if you can hear us, don't worry, technical problems are part of the world today. We all go through it. So thank you. I mean, that your voice is incredible. Thank you. I think we are ready to close. I would like to call upon Rabbi Ellen Walnutz Fields, the Executive Director of Women's League for Conservative Judaism, someone who I had the pleasure and honor to finally meet in person 2 weeks ago, I think, in Israel. And I very much look forward to continuing our work together. And thank you again for inviting us here. Take it
Thank
away.
you, Tehila. It's been wonderful, and it's hard to believe that Debbie and Tehila and I met the night before the whole world collapsed in our generation with Russia invading Ukraine. And we had such hopes for today, which I think came to fruition even with all the challenges that took place. So toda rabba, yasher kochech. As a member of the Jewish community, we can all relate to the idea of attending a simcha, a happy occasion like a bat mitzvah, knowing that a member of the community is taking a break from sitting shiva, that they're still in avelut, that they're still mourning. And so too, we all celebrate International Women's Day, but acknowledge the severity of the situation for our Ukrainian sisters and pray for peace for a time when our sisters in Ukraine will participate in our Women's League global engagement programs freely and not worrying. We pray for a time when we all see equality for women everywhere. In our Torah reading this Shabbat, Parshat Vayikra, we begin the third book of the Torah, Sefer Vayikra, the book of Leviticus, also called Torat Kohanim, an instructional book of the priests. The book of Leviticus, Vayikra, is filled with details and instructions about the sacrifices, the korbanot that the children of Israel are called upon to make to God. As always, we make these to express our gratitude to God, to say that we thank God for everything, our appreciation, and to ask for forgiveness to God. These are some of the reasons why we have sacrifices, the korbanot. The word for sacrifice is korban, from the Hebrew root kuf resh bet, to mean to draw near. The true purpose of the sacrifices was a way for the Jewish people to draw near to God. Sacrifices were an instrument for the Jewish people to create a holy relationship with God, to bring Kedusha, holiness, into their lives. The word Vayikra literally means, and God called. So I ask us all, what does God call upon all of us to do? To not only draw near to God, but also to draw closer to each other, to form a community of holiness, a kehila kedusha, which is what our sacred community of Makom B'Yachad is, a truly holy community, which is hard to believe that next Tuesday will mark 2 years that we've had this, our 2-year anniversary next Tuesday. Today's International Women's Day has been a moment of Kedusha, of holiness, a way that we can answer that call for holiness to bring God into our midst and our sisters together, B'Yachad, as Eileen said, from the 4 corners of the earth, Me'arba kanfot ha'aretz, as is the goal of the Women's League World Engagement. What a great way to achieve the goal that we together celebrated, B'Yachad, on International Women's Day. And it is an honor and a privilege to call upon our International President, Debbie Kaner-Goldich, who will close our program at this time.
Thank you, Rabbi, and Toda Rabbah to all of you. Thank you all for joining us to celebrate International Women's Day. We know that so much more needs to be done in our global community for the advancement and equality of women. In 1975, the United Nations officially declared March 8th to be International Women's Day, stating International Women's Day is a time to reflect on progress made, to call for change, and to celebrate acts of courage and determination by ordinary women who have played an extraordinary role in the history of their countries and their communities. When our Women's League sisters get together, B'Yachad, We always celebrate our incredible sisters, but it's good to have a special day set aside to celebrate. What a joy it is to see Eileen's vision of world engagement and a more global women's league come to fruition. Today is the first of many programs we will have to engage our sisters globally. We look forward to more celebrations with programs with our Masorti sisters worldwide. We express much gratitude to Tehila, Eileen, Debbie, and Toby for all of their preparation so that we could have a meaningful program today. The preparations for our celebration today became most challenging as our friend Tehila, Deputy Director of the Masorti Movement, not only spent her time organizing today's program, but also organizing the response of the Masorti Movement in assisting our Ukrainian sisters and brothers as they face this war. We want to thank you, Tehila, from the bottom of our hearts. Let us pray for peace and stability for all those in Ukraine and all those in the path of war and those escaping. May this be the first of many future times that we are together, biyachad, from all four corners of the earth for the sacred purpose of sisterhood. And as we conclude our Makom Biyachad International Women's Day celebration, Karen, if you would please allow everyone to unmute. And if we could unmute at this time, and in the words of our Makom Biyachad matriarch, Audrey Maddens of blessed memory, let us all say together,
Shalom.
Shalom.
Hello. Thank you so much. Wonderful program.